Well, Coach, we're assuming that Houston Harding will be getting the start tomorrow. He's had about an 11-day layoff. How have you kept him sharp and ready for this game?
What's that? Can you repeat that, David? I'm sorry, the volume wasn't up.
Oh, certain, no problem, Coach. Assuming that Houston Harding will get the start tomorrow night, he's had about an 11-day layoff. How have you, Coach Boxall, kept him sharp and ready for this opportunity?
Well, we haven't made a decision on our starter yet. We want to see who we play first, but we're throwing these guys in practice. They're throwing some in between. They're throwing pins. Shoot, Hootie warmed up the other night in the pin. So he's had some longer layoffs during the year, so I don't worry about him or any of the other guys. We practiced yesterday. Some guys threw. We're going to practice here in a little bit. They're just doing the normal stuff they do during the year.
Next, we'll go to Theo DeRosa.
Coach, along with that, is Jackson Fristow kind of done for the year? I know he's pitched a lot of innings and he's a freshman. Do you expect he'll come out on the mound at some point in this tournament?
He could. We're kind of grooming him right now. He's had some good bullpens the last couple of weeks. I know he had a disappointing start, and he'll tell you it was disappointing in the regionals. But man, with such a talented kid, he may be an X factor here while we're here if we can get him going. So yeah, he's definitely in the mix, and we just throwing him out in the relief of that game on the days of run together against Virginia was tough because he hadn't pitched out of the pen much. So, but it may have to happen here. All arms are ready to go.
Next, we'll go to Steve Robertson.
Chris, how much does the scouting report maybe change after you've played a team like this? And you played both of the teams that you may play tomorrow, but and conversely, how much does your approach change when you know how teams are going to attack your hitters?
Well, it's tweaked every time. So even after we finish a weekend, you'll have it's written in black, and then you go back in red of what you saw and thought about the weekend. And we do that all year long. So that's kind of what's happened right here is we tweak certain things. The biggest emphasis right now is pitchers, who's available, who's thrown so many pitches. The hard part about the Texas game or even the Virginia game is the starters were so dominant. I don't know if we got pitched a certain way or just got blown by you, because it was so much power. So I don't know if that's what we'll get, the second time through. But we're spending a lot of time watching these other teams play and watching all their bullpen arms and different pieces, because at this point of a tournament, that's what you're going to get a lot of.
Next, we'll go to John Sokoloff.
Chris, you kind of mentioned it the other night about Christian, how you kind of felt bad for him that he didn't have, obviously, the outing that you think he's capable of. His last couple of starts have been a bit rocky. I know he's a fly ball pitcher here, and it's a little bit of a bigger ballpark, but how confident are you in him kind of bouncing back for his next start? What do you think he needs to really kind of work on to be the Christian that that he's capable of in his next start?
Well, I think going out and having a good early start, getting, having a good first inning, getting out there and finding his stuff. The other night he wasn't able to find his stuff, and then he fell behind, and then you're on the biggest stage of your life trying to find it, and he just couldn't find it. And, what's bad is the Notre Dame one in the Super. We make the bad errors in the first, but his stuff was really good, and he really pitched well at times, and he gives up a homer, but this one was just not a good start at all. So hopefully he can get out there, maybe the rest of not having to throw a ton of pitches. He can bring him back a little faster and be ready to go. But, we don't have too many options at starter, and he's one of the better ones in the country. So we're going to have good practices and get his mind right and get him ready to go.
And a quick follow-up there. Not just you guys just winning that last game, but the way that you did with the, triumphant comeback in that 8th inning, do you think that, and obviously playing well lately in Super and regionals, I know baseball's a sport where you can also getting hot is so big. Do you think that your team's kind of caught lightning in a bottle in terms of how the last few games have gone and how you've been playing heading into, a game where you could punch your ticket to the championship series?
I feel like we're hot. We talk all the time when you get to this time of year, everybody's kind of hot because you had to win out to get here. But man, we've played some tough teams and we played in some tough games, and we just, there's very few blowouts for us. I feel like we're used to these type of games, and if we're going to be playing them, it's kind of to our advantage a little bit as long as we're rested and ready to go. So, but yeah, I feel like we're hot. I feel like we're feeling good. being able to have a comeback like that, puts a little more hop in your step. But we still got to come out and play great baseball tomorrow, and it's going to be a tough matchup, depending on either team is just they're so talented. And I feel like we're in the pitchers bracket, so you're going to find Texas and Virginia and us. We're teams with a lot of pitching depth, so a tournament may not affect it as much as some others.
Next, we'll go to Rick Cleveland.
Yeah, Chris, how much has COVID made this World Series different than others you've been at?
It's been a little bit. We don't have an opening ceremony. You don't have a fan fest. You don't have some of those things. You don't have your trips with your alumni groups and things like that. We have some daily, I guess every other day, some COVID testing going on. For me, it's just you're always worried about the fear of getting a bad test. That's one of the things you worry about. But for the most part, it's we've had to tell our kids, no, we don't want you signing autographs. We don't want you, high-fiving. We don't. Just trying to protect the kids because we have so many fans out here, and you feel really rude when somebody walks up and say, "I can't sign your ball." But we've really tried to pull that back over the last couple of days, just trying to protect the kids in the program while we're out here. But the actual playing the games, you don't, once you're in the ballpark and ready to go, it's good old baseball.
Next, we'll go to Joe Cook.
Yeah, Coach. Can you just maybe describe and kind of maybe detail the development of Kellum Clark, the way he's been able to just get better as the years gone on and had some big swings this postseason? What have you seen from him?
Well, he came in as one of the top prospects in the country, and battled some sickness early, and lost some weight, and once he was able to get his weight back and get weight back on him. And then he spent a lot of time working with Coach Gotro, and there was things he just had to figure out in his swing. And like most kids going to this level with all the velocity, you just have to figure out some things. He is a tremendous worker. He lives the game. I think his pops had built him a batting cage in his backyard. And so, this kid, he lives baseball. And so it's been fun to watch. I know he's probably a little frustrated with me early, which most players are if they're not playing. But once he started figuring that swing out and raising his contacts, he's just taken off. And it's not lucky. He's not just on a hot streak. He's a really good player, and he'll be a good player here for a while because he just has the ability to hit, and he's big and he's athletic, and there's a real competitor in there with him too. Kind of a quiet kid. You don't always realize he's as competitive as he is, but he is a competitive kid.
Next, we'll go to Steve Robertson.
Chris, you guys take road trips all the time, spend a couple nights in hotels, but you guys have been locked up for a long time now. So how do you manage the time with all that now? And how do you feel like the team's kind of handling maybe being cooped up some?
It's funny you say that, Steve, because last night we had a gender reveal down at the thing. Coach Cheese is having a baby girl. So we had that. There was a big meal. And I felt bad, but I had to check out. I just told him I'm socially out. I was wiped from the night before. I felt bad, and I got a pizza and laid on my couch and watched that Vanderbilt game. And so there's certain things where I've had to check out and do, and I think it's like that for everybody. I mean, the kids enjoy it because they got family here and all. Coaches enjoy it, but I've spent more time in my room. I guess I'm just starting to hang out there and get ready for each game. And I got family here. It's a zoo a little bit, but. We try to keep busy with practice, and we get up and go. And then these kids love to sleeping a good bit more than normal just because they're here, and then have a nice meal with family. But it becomes a long trip the more you play. But hopefully we'll make it the longest it can be.
Next, we'll go to Trey Mongrue.
Yeah, Chris, obviously you guys are in an advantageous spot right now, needing just to win one game over these next 2 days. But how much are you stressing tomorrow's game, considering what that would do for your pitching, not to look too far ahead should you make the championship series?
It has the same amount of stress. We're stressing it as much as we have all year. It's always, we go back to our win shirt. It's about the next game. Just play the next game, win the next game. This whole trip, we haven't, we're not looking, our kids haven't even looked down the bracket. They don't even probably half of them don't even know how this goes, so we're just focused on winning the next one and getting our pitching lined up and scouting reports lined up and having a good practice. And it's not easy. We speak about not looking too far ahead and not getting too high or too low. It's all about the next game. And I know it's boring. You're hearing that from the coach all the time, but that's really what we stress daily, is just about being where your feet are, being right here, being in the moment and taking care of business right now.
And also kind of following up on that real quick. How much, obviously you said, not really looking at the bracket. Have you and the coaches how much baseball outside of the games y'all have been playing here in Omaha have y'all been watching?
We watch about all of it. Now I have 3 of my coaches worked with Elliott Avent at NC State, so they're cheering on that other side of the bracket. So they watch the NC State games, but we were pretty much watching everything unless we're practicing or getting ready for our game, on those nights that we played. But we're going back and watching. We'll watch tonight's game. I'll order takeout and sit on my couch and watch the game tonight, and then spend all day tomorrow preparing. But you're pretty in tune to what's going on here at this tourney.
Next, we'll go to Joel Coleman, and then we'll have time for just a couple more.
Chris, I was curious, how aware were you of Jim Ellis maybe before you came to Mississippi State? And he's been out here an awful lot. I think he's been with State for every Omaha trip except maybe the very first one. So he's seen a lot and done a lot. Just curious how much you talked to him about his past experiences and maybe how aware of him you were before coming and just maybe y'all's relationship and what he kind of means to the program.
Well, I knew the voice for sure, and I knew of Jim before I came, because I think everybody in college baseball's heard the clips. It's funny, in 2019, I'm pretty much an early person, so I'm up early. I'm in the lobby. I'm in, just hanging out. And my first year in 19, I felt like every morning on the road, I was sitting with him in Everett. So the encyclopedias of, Mississippi State baseball, and just hearing the stories and talking to them over the years has been a lot of fun. They just, they've informed me of so many things and how the left field lounges started and everything you could imagine. And, Jim does the radio show too. So I spent a lot of time with Jim there. We're so fortunate to have him. It's just cool. He's just got such an easy demeanor. He really knows the game, and he's great on the radio. And it's everybody I hear, like we play the broadcast and play the TV broadcast, and we turn off the mute and listen to Jim. So that's kind of the mentality of Mississippi State people. So he's done it in a while, though. He's seen a lot of great baseball over the years.
Rick, did you have another question? All right, we'll go back to Theo DeRosa.
Coach, at the start of this event, you guys were playing every other day. Obviously, the win gives you 2 days off. Do you prefer that, or were you kind of getting used to the every other day schedule, or how does that change your preparation for?
Well, I like it better than having to play, getting the extra day off while the other team plays so that you can rest your pitching. That's the biggest thing. Every other day playing is fine, trying to keep your hitters going. I do feel like we need a little bit of a day off. We didn't go hard yesterday with our kids, mainly a lift in the weight room, and then we'll have a good hard practice today. But it's more about pitcher's rest. That's what you're seeing when, getting the days off. It's about pitcher's rest, about Landon Sims, about our bullpen being able to get an extra day's rest. That's where the extra day really pays off.
All right, we'll take the last 2 hands that are raised. We'll go to Trey Mongrew and then finish with Steve Robertson.
Chris, how much has the team been able to kind of enjoy Omaha outside of, just baseball aspect of things?
You get to walk down and get T-shirts and walk to dinner, and the community here in Omaha is great. They just wrap their arms around you, and then our fan base, and I have a feeling there's more coming. So, that's kind of a cool thing when you look up and your fan base is, even the other night I talked about the Dude effect. Our fans are, it felt like we were at the Dude in those last 2 innings. I think those are the fun things they enjoy. Maybe somebody's gone to the zoo. I don't know. My family went to the zoo and did some things that way. But it's more about just, enjoying the city and having a nice meal and going to games and those type of things, I think is, the best things they've been able to do.